Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how I draw black hair in coloured pencil. I've already done a tutorial on how to draw blonde, ginger and brunette hair. They're already all on my channel, so I'll leave links in the description so you can go and watch them. I've also got loads of tutorial videos coming up, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. I start by listing all the different colours that I'm going to be using in today's tutorial. For today's tutorial I am going to be using the Faber Castell Polychromos coloured pencils, and I'll also be using a white prismacolor pencil which I'll use to blend and add the highlights. I am using the Fabriano artistico watercolour paper, but you can use any sort of paper that has a good amount of tooth to it because we're going to be doing a lot of layers in this tutorial. Okay, so I start by adding the lightest colour. I use this as a base colour, so it's a really light grey. When you're drawing black hair, with the highlights it tends to either have a blue tinge to it or a brown tinge to it. Today I'm going to be doing a blue sort of tinge to the hair. But if you've got hair that's a really dark brown black, you can just add brownish colours over the top to create the highlights. After I've laid down the base, I go in with the next darkest colour, which is the second darkest grey colour, and I use this to define where my shadows are and to basically follow the sketch that I draw on so I know where everything goes. I then lightly go over everything with the brighter blue colour because I said that we're going to be doing a blue tinge to the hair today, especially where the highlights are, so I just start by lightly going over everything with that brighter blue colour. I then go in with the indigo blue and use this to help define the shadows. When you're drawing hair, it's really important to draw your lines in the direction that the hair is flowing. This gives it a really realistic look and helps to give the hair motion. Try not to use circular motions when you're drawing hair. It's also really important when you're drawing hair to make sure that your pencils are always really sharp so you can draw those really fine details in individual hairs. I'm now going in with the black pencil to mark out where those darkest shadows are. I'm applying these layers really lightly because I don't want to damage the tooth of the paper. This is because I want to try and do lots and lots of layers. I then go back in with the indigo blue and the brighter blue to fill in where those highlights are and to help gradient between where the shadows are and where the highlights are. I then blend everything out with the white prismacolor pencil, and I do this really lightly. It helps to smooth out and transition between those colours a lot better, and it takes the graininess out of the drawing. When you use the white prismacolor pencil, it tends to wash out some of those colours a lot, so I go back in with the colours to replenish what was lost. I start by going back in with the black pencil to define where those shadows are again and to deepen up the shadows because the white colour pencil took a lot of the darkness out of it. I then go in with the blue and use that on the highlights so that we can get that blue tinge back, and also to help gradient between the shadows into the highlights once again. I then use the white prismacolor pencil to help lift up some of that colour to make a more harsh highlight. But then I go back over with the indigo blue so that it's not so harsh. If I want to get some individual strands that are highlighted, I'd press harder on the white prismacolor pencil, and I'd make sure it's sharpened to a really sharp point before I do that. I then move on to the bottom part of the curl and use the same technique. So I start with the lightest colour and I apply this as a base, and then I'll go in with the second grey colour to define where the sketch was, so I can see where my shadows are and see where my highlights are. I then apply the brighter blue all over like I did with the top half. And I go in further with the indigo blue to define some of those shadows. I then go in with the black coloured pencil and use this to shade in where the darkest shadows of the curl are. Again, it's really important to draw your lines in the direction that the hair is flowing. I then quickly add a layer of light blue and the light grey before going in and blending that all out with the white Prismacolor pencil. Then, like I did with the top half, I go back in with the black to deepen up those shadows where the colour was lost when you used the white colour pencil. Getting this level of detail in the hair would be really hard to do if you don't keep your pencil sharp all the time, so always make sure that it's got a really sharp point. When you move on to your last layers, it's okay to press a bit harder on the pencil so you can get those really deep shadows. I use the brighter blue to really make some of the highlights pop, and then I go in with the white Prismacolor pencil at a really sharp point to help highlight some individual strands. I then go in with the Faber Castell ink eraser and use this to lift the colour off where I really want those harsh highlights, which I then go over with the white colour pencil, which really makes them go a bit brighter. I then use the really sharp black pencil to add some stray hairs around the curl. This helps to make the curl look really realistic because there's always going to be little flyaway hairs. However, we don't want them to be this strong. When we draw them with the black pencil, it's too strong and dark, so we'll go back in with that ink eraser to help lift some of that colour off. This gives the illusion that some of the hairs are more into the distance, and then some will be darker and therefore look more forward. This gives a nice variety to the stray hairs and makes it look more realistic, because real hair will have a lot of dimension and variety to those individual strands. I also use the white prismacolor pencil over the curl to create some strands that are flyaways over the top of the curl itself. I'm just adding some final touch-ups, but that's it for this tutorial. I really hope you guys found it helpful. Remember, I've linked all the other hair tutorial videos in the description below, so remember to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to subscribe for future tutorial videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.